So I'm on the comments right now from the video I just uploaded called "The Bunker TV was marked as kids content. What the fuck?" And I'll leave a link to the previous video so you can see what I'm talking about. And it seems like YouTube is basically marking certain channels as kids content without the uploader's knowledge. And I basically talked about this in the last video. And one person comes and makes a comment. Phil Sims says something is definitely going on because I don't know why anybody would select that when their content isn't for kids and they don't know it either. Yeah, because YouTube is doing it. They even said somewhere in their terms of use or something having to do with these new COPPA laws that they would automatically mark videos and channels as kids content if they deemed necessary instead of the other way around. It would make sense if you would mark it not appropriate either automatically or by accident rather than mark it as appropriate so the channel can get unnecessary strikes or censorship or restrictions. So I think this is on purpose. I mean, the Bunker TV of all channels. I mean, stop it. So I responded to Phil Sims and I said, I'm thinking that YouTube is doing this on purpose in order to limit the exposure of certain videos and channels and invoke restrictions on certain people's videos or channels, such as the restrictions that I mentioned at the end of the previous video, which I'll link in the description. It also opens up a person's channel to get unnecessary strikes due to them violating the kids' content policy on stuff that belongs to them, which has been marked as being appropriate for kids. And I already suspected that this would happen to people. As soon as they said that they would do that, marking it as appropriate for kids automatically or whatever, and once they do that, you can't unmark it as appropriate for kids. I already knew where that was going. It has nothing to do with protecting kids. Nothing at all. So I said such restrictions can also be used to stifle dissent and further discussion about the topic at hand in a video that has such a restriction placed on it. The video restrictions that I mentioned are the exact same restrictions that YouTube uses when a video is flagged as being inappropriate or offensive to others. You can't even save such videos to playlist. It's just another form of censorship. It has nothing to do with the safety of kids. And like I've said before in a previous video or two, in the best interest of the child is one of the greatest jokes ever told. Literally, one of the greatest jokes ever told. Whenever someone says something like that, I promise you that it's at the detriment of others, and it's not about the safety of kids or children at all, not at all. And they're applying these things to people that are under 18. COPPA laws refer to children or whatever that are lower than 13 years old, but yet they're applying this to everyone under 18. Absolutely ridiculous. But it's affecting adult channels, as I mentioned. So Phil Sims says it happened to somebody that I follow, and I told them that I couldn't get notifications because it was for kids, meaning the channel was labeled for kids. And it wasn't about kids either. So I just sent him a link to your video because he said he would change that and it didn't change back to regular. And I was telling him it appears that the whole channel has been set that way, not just one video. And they make it very hard for you to go in and set your channel as not appropriate for kids. It's not easy. You have to have a desktop computer or at least try to use the desktop version of a browser on your phone or tablet. And if you do that, the setting is not easy to find. I actually don't remember how you find it. And honestly speaking, I thought that even if you set up things a certain way, they can go ahead and change it back to being appropriate for kids. But if you set up the whole channel as inappropriate for kids, then I don't know if it sticks for the videos if you set it up that way. I would like to think that the Bunker TV set his channel that way. I mean, people have been talking about it, about making your channel as not appropriate for kids since they've been talking about this COPPA stuff. So it must have been something that YouTube went in and done to make it like that. I don't know. I don't remember the steps that you used to change it. It's not easy to show anyway, to be honest. But you can definitely look it up on Google if you want to, if you have a channel that you want to set as not appropriate for kids. But there's no telling if they undid that setting. I don't know. And another thing, As I'm going to upload this video right now that you're watching, I get this notification in the YouTube app on my phone for Android. This wasn't coming up before. And this is really what's really ridiculous. Like the notification at the top says you are legally required to comply with the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act and other laws. You're required to tell us if your videos are made for kids. Use the YouTube Studio app. And like I said, I could have sworn that COPPA applied to kids that are either 13 and under or just under 13 years old, but yet they're putting this out for everyone that's under 18 because nowadays, children are all the way up to 18 years old as far as some people are concerned, which is another ridiculous video topic. But yeah, so it says you're required to tell us if your videos are made for kids. This is what I'm talking about. It should say you're required to tell us if your video is not made for kids. So if you have any cartoon characters in there, say if your video is not really for kids or it's neutral, whatever, you have cartoon characters in there, you have to tell them if this video is something that kids can watch. Because if you don't tell them it's something that kids can watch, then you can get in trouble. How does that fucking make sense? It's supposed to be you have to tell them if it's something that kids cannot watch. I mean, you can look this on YouTube. People are getting in trouble for this. That they'll have like cartoon animation in their video and whatever, and they're not marking it as made for kids just because it has cartoon stuff in it. And because they're not marking it as made for kids, they're getting in trouble. It's ass fucking backwards. I don't know what kind of ridiculous policy this is. I really, really don't.